Okay.
Then Councilor Spriggan said, she made a presentation regarding a recommendation for creating the position of Director Administration. Ms. Spriggan reiterated her written recommendations that a Director Administration is needed in Macedonia to orchestrate and coordinate the functions of the administration. This position should not be confused with City Manager. The position of Director Administration is comparable to that of the Chief of Staff. This position would work for and answer only to the Mayor. This position would not be subject to the confirmation of council. Mrs. Spriggan said studies indicate that people like having a mayor as a figurehead, so she would not recommend making the mayor's position ceremonial if the director position is created. When asked if the mayor's salary would be decreased if the position of Director of Administration is created, Mrs. Spriggan said no. If anything, the mayor's salary should be increased, she added.
And I stand behind, and that was what, 5 years ago, because that's another successful model. A city manager is a model that we can find plenty of examples here and more in Southwest Ohio, but a Director of Administration is what they have in Shaker and Talmadge, both very successful communities and very productive, and I think people agree to that.
It would be like a position, if I understand it, almost like the president has the chief of staff.
Yeah, in Talmadge, what happened, the mayor is full-time, and he has the right to appoint a full-time director of administration, and that mayor, is like a township administrator, a high-paid salary based on certain qualifications. You can't just put anybody in there. You have to have some qualifications, and that person serves at the pleasure of the mayor and runs a day-to-day operation based on what the mayor and him can't get along. Then it's up to that's their issue.
He's got to go, right?
Then he's got to go, and it doesn't have anything to do with council, but it allows for some, for example, anybody who gets to be mayor, whether he's a former police chief, may not have experience in finance. If he's a finance director or a businessman, may not have safety experience. So hopefully the Director of Administration will complement the mayor's skills. It's a very successful model if you want to look at other communities in Shaker and in Talmadge.
How long have they had these?
Talmadge has had one since 1995, and Shaker's about the same. I happen to know Talmadge because I worked on the Charter Review Commission, and that's when we got it approved at the ballot. So it technically took effect in 1996.
Is Talmadge happy with it?
Talmadge is very happy with it. I don't know, Mayor, do you know Mayor Klein very well?
Yes.
Have you ever had a chance to talk to him about their setup there?
No, but I know it works.
How big is Talmadge, Betty?
Oh, it's probably about 20,000, maybe a little bit, 22.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out as far as options for us to
What's that
consider.
position over there?
Director of Administration.
It's an interesting concept. I've never heard of it before.
I could see that much more than I could see a city
Oh,
manager,
really?
though.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what
Peggy,
you tried to do, they voted, when you tried to have.
no offense, but the mayor's elected by the people. Council appoints the city manager, right?
Council does, yes. But in a city manager, the council, the mayor is generally ceremonial. There's no power in the mayor's position in a city manager. In a Director of Administration, it's still considered a strong mayor.
Well, as I say again, for council to appoint somebody to represent the people, and I can't vote for that person, depending on what type of council you have. In all the years I know council, I make sure the people would.
Well, and don't look at Macedonia. Macedonia's had its ups and downs over the last 30 years. We all know that. Look at what's your goal. What is your goal, right? To provide a good quality of life for our residents at the lowest possible tax base we can? Well, what is your goal? And don't look at what's happened here in the past, because that has nothing to do with the future. We've got to worry about the future, because I've challenged you, none of us are going to be sitting at this table in 10 years, including me.
I'll be here.
I won't be. And so we need to look at the future, what's going to work for the future. And it's just like any other profession, law, business, everything is specialized.
Well said, and I would supplement that by saying that in order to do that, the best way or best approach would be to look at the progressive, very successfully run cities and see what they do if we're going to consider something like that. And sit down and talk about how those things might work. And then we've got to decide, that's gonna end up on the ballot or not. As far as amending our charter, I mean, that may be something that's appropriate to do by referendum for the whole city. May not be a charter.
I know,
I'm
it's
done
almost
talking.
8:30.
I'm done
I
talking.
like I find this director administrator very interesting position. All right, it's almost 8:30.
Do you wanna go to Tina for a little bit?
I was. Tina, you had a little bit to say, but are there anything else you want to
You're
raise?
doing section
at this
3
point?
stuff still?
No,
No?
I don't know, I wouldn't object about 50-50 on the city manager. Simply because if a incompetent mayor is elected or changes midstream philosophy, you gotta wait, you can't recall the first year, you can't recall in the last year, what kind of damage is gonna be done. You have a city manager, if you don't like the way he's doing stuff, out he goes.
That's the problem.
Oh.
Well, it's better than being stuck with somebody that,
No,
You know,
it's
maybe-
not necessarily, because, and what I would do is if this is something that we really wanted, I would suggest that in January, we invite somebody who is a city manager and maybe one of the director of administrations in here to talk to us about the pros and cons. Because you know what, yeah, we can get rid of a city manager and that's what happens. Hudson just got a new one, Brunswick just got a new one, and change is tough. Change is always hard when
They've
you
gone
have
through
it.
so many in Hudson, so many in Brunswick. They
What
just
city
keep-
managers?
Yes.
They just keep turning them
Finance
over.
director.
Is that because, what? You like regional finance director, is that what you said?
Ultimately, it'll be the voters that decide, because they have to vote out whatever.
But I don't think that we know enough to make a decision at this point. If we're really gonna study that angle, we really need to study it more.
I agree.
Well, and let me just throw my 2 cents into this last point about a city manager. Is that the city manager, is he gonna be directed by the mayor, or is he gonna be directed by council? And in most instances, council wants to be the director of them. And so now you're having a council micromanaging a guy who is the city manager. You got the mayor over here, and the mayor's taking all the calls, by the way. It's just the way it is in the city, to be very honest with you. Everybody who calls with problems calls the mayor.
oh, I don't know about that, I call my council persons.
Well, I can tell you, the years I was there, I wish they would call the department heads and call the council people, but I was always getting the calls. But nevertheless, I just don't see that the city manager part of this getting micromanaged by council members is going to be very productive. And I think that that's why you see Brunswick going through as many and Hudson going through as many, because council all are pulling in different direction, and you have nothing common other than the fact that they're a legislative body, and they're not there 24/7. And that's where it adds to the problems. And I'm not, no offense, I was a council member too, so I'm not suggesting that everybody would be doing that, but the fact of the matter is that that's the part of the problem, and I saw it in many of the communities, and I have dealt with a lot of communities like Northeast Ohio.
So let me ask you a question, and you know, I probably agree with 99.9% what you just said. But I guess the question is then, what about the other thought, which is to create a position, director of the administration?
I think that having a chief